Welcome to Vegas Circle Podcast with your hosts, Pocky and Chris. We are people who are passionate about business, success, and culture. And this is our platform to showcase the people in our city who make it happen. On today's podcast, we've got two powerhouses that are combining purpose and business through a mission-driven organization that's making a real impact with our military veterans. Let's welcome to the circle co-founders of Easy Day Foundation. We got Mr. Frank Fertitta IV and Mr. Landon Gyulay.
Welcome.
So good to have you guys in here, man.
Thank you for having us.
You guys been nonstop, man. You guys are like on your probably ninth or 10th interview, man, making rounds in Vegas.
Yeah, made more sense to try and get it out of the way.
That's good, yeah. So talk to us, man. So how did you guys connect, man? How did this all form, or how did you guys meet to form?
Landon and I met, we both went to USC at the business school. Okay. What year we graduated? 2017.
Right.
We met in 2014. We've just been buddies ever since. So it's been 11 years now. And about a year and a half ago, Landon and I decided to start this foundation for veterans. Founded it on Veterans Day of 2023.
Okay.
And ever since then, we've just been plugging away, trying to make this happen.
That's what's
What kind of prompted that idea to really, make this like the cause, right? Obviously, we know it's a very important cause. It's something that impacts a lot of people. But, obviously, what made you decide that this is where you wanted to put that attention?
I think, Frankie and I have like different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think, for me, growing up, grew up in Southern California, grew up in Orange County, as far away from enemy front lines as I possibly could be, right? I think, we've been super fortunate to grow up, with no major conflicts, right? In the same way that you saw in Vietnam or World War II. And for me, I, had family that, was in the military. My grandpa served in World War II, flew 20 missions, joined when he was 19, so through his like very formative years, served. And I think like you look back at that generation, the greatest generation, right, is what they call it. It's certainly true in terms of what those people did. And, just like my, the thing that resonated for me is I kind of always grew up feeling like I had some degree of a civic duty to do something.
That's awesome.
And so I think that was like, the big kind of jumping off point for me. I don't know, Frankie, for you.
Yeah, I think you should talk about your grandpa's 21st birthday before I go.
Yeah. So, I mean, I told him this story actually. When my grandpa turned 21 on his 21st birthday, he bombed Berlin.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a very different 21-year-old than I experienced than I had.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, ours
were very different.
That's deep.
And like
huge sacrifice.
Yeah, I learned all this as a kid reading his journals from World War II. He would write every single day, and they would send them. And like he had gotten married right before he got deployed. So when he was 19 years old, he got married, and so he was sending back these journals to his wife, my grandma.
Oh wow.
And so, 21st birthday, got on a B-17 co-pilot, flew over from, the UK, crossed the channel into Germany, and flew back like a 9-hour flight day. But these stories were like real as a kid. And I remember vividly reading this and thinking, what was I doing at 21?
Yeah.
Because I certainly was not flying in an airplane, doing the things that he was doing, right? Like my biggest concern on my 21st birthday was like, are we going to go and have fun out tonight? So it's like just a totally different scale. But I think for me, it garnered some degree of civic duty to do something. And so, I think we both kind of have that. You obviously have your own reason too, but
my grandpa was a fighter pilot also. But when I was growing up, I was very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of guys that served in the SEAL teams and some other special forces units, and they told me a lot of different stories that you just wouldn't believe. And so started doing some research on just what happens to our veterans when they come home, and a lot of them struggle. I'm like, guys who go through the things that they've told me about, and girls, they just don't deserve to have to come home and struggle and have discomfort not find a home, not find a new job or a new sense of purpose. They're doing the most important job in the entire world, defending America's freedom. And, anyone who does that deserves a lifetime of comfort when they come home, in my opinion. And like Landon said, to just like have this like burning desire, like sense of obligation to try to repay a debt that you never can repay. But, we're willing to spend our whole lives at least trying our best to do that. So, when you have a big group of men and women who put their lives on the line so we can live in the best country to ever, grace planet Earth, I think we just owe it to them to at least give a little bit of our time and energy to them when they come home. So
that's powerful to have that personal connection to those stories. Like immediately I feel it too. It's like, I feel like, America's built on a lot of those people doing those things. And we got the experiences, like you said, to be 21 years old and go out and party because your grandfather did things like that. That's extremely, fortunate that we have that experience.
We can do
we both had those reasons, and then we kind of bonded over that and then start doing research, and we find out these crazy facts like there are 4 times more veteran suicides than there are deaths in war operations amongst our military service members. And like things like that are just insane. 17 veterans commit suicide every day. That 17? Comes out to over 6,000 a year. That's just like stats like that you just can't ignore. So,
and how important is like this?
We started talking about this stuff, and we were having drinks in Newport Beach, and we came to the end of the conversation like, why don't we just do something about it? And Monday morning we went home and figured out how to start a 501c3, and we just hit the ground running. We had no idea what we were doing, but figured it out. So
18 months later, here we are. So
no, it's amazing, man. I'm like getting emotional when I think about, because my dad was military, and my uncle actually passed away recently. Claude Phillips was a Vietnam veteran. And he gave his life in Dallas, Texas, with going to speak with a lot of these veterans in the whole nine. So you're 1,000% right, man. They come back. My uncle, he slept in a chair for like ever since he came back.
Wow.
Didn't even sleep in a bed because of that whole stuff. So it's wild what you deal with. So I'm glad. I'm so happy you guys are doing this.
Yeah,
because they need it. They really need it.
Yeah, there's a huge number of veterans who come home and they don't want to ask for help, and they'll wait years and years to either get help or, unfortunately,
they're prideful.
They just want help.
And it's internal torture, I think, for a lot of them to go from doing the most important job in the world to not really being so sure. So. That's where we try to come in. But
that's awesome.
It's kind of interesting. You think like us. Most of my experiences with war have all been on what I've seen in movies, right? Which paints a very different picture in a lot of it. Like how important is it, to your point, you're saying these stats and the education of some of these experiences and the impact that it has. I mean, people aren't being vocal about it. Like, what part of your mission really just comes from the educational piece? Because I think to me that's something super important.
Yeah, look, it's very big, and I think a lot of what we're doing, especially with the event that we're doing. I think we're coming up on it May 26th. Right? Less than 2 weeks out now. The idea when we started the foundation was, there's obviously a lot of amazing veteran service organizations that do amazing work. And we don't want to take away from what they're doing. But what we thought we could do extremely well was, put on amazing live events and partner with amazing live events to bring awareness to these statistics that Frankie spoke about, and also to raise money for these amazing organizations. And so we actually today we don't do, the specific services frequently. We have great partners that do most of that work.
Yeah. Well, when we were setting this up, you kind of have to, when you're a very young organization, you don't want to do everything at once, right? You got to decide what are we going to be good at? And maybe one day we'll try to do multiple different things, but what do we think we can be really good at? And we figured raising money was something we could be good at. And live events, I think, are just an underutilized platform for things like this, for charitable endeavors. And I think awareness is just as important as raising money. And I think there's no better way to get people to bond over something and have stoke a sense of patriotism and inspire people to do something, and then get them all in the same room or same venue and bond over music and whatever else we might plan in the future to people feed off of other people's energy. So we figured it was the perfect platform to.
And talk about that, right? So this is going to be the American Music Awards that's coming up, I think J-Lo is going to be hosting the event.
Yeah, she
Fountain
is.
Blue, right? From my
Yeah,
understanding.
Fountain Blue, May 26th, and we're going to be live on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
So how did you guys get plugged with them? Because this is big players, man. You guys came. You said you didn't want to get involved.
Wait,
but you guys came with the whole run,
we had
man.
a handful of people out of the gates who were like, "Are you sure you want to try and go this big your first year?" And we never really wavered. We were just like, "Yeah, we do, absolutely. Like, let's just go for it and swing at the fences and see if we can pull it off." And now we're 2 weeks away, so.
It's kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
when you're this close. Yeah,
our initial idea was just to try to have a huge event that we can inspire people and raise money, and it just so happened that Jay Penske, who I know, who owns the AMAs, he owns Penske Media, so a bunch of different, the New Year's Rockin' Eve, and different events like that. Billboard magazine. He came by my office. He said, I really want to have this vision for Memorial Day. We want to move the AMAs to Vegas, and we just happen to have a very similar vision. It was very serendipitous, and we said, let's just run at this together, and you guys do what you do best, and we'll do what we're going to do, and it's been a great partnership so far, and we're hoping that this first year is a massive success so that we can keep doing it, and then Landon and I will try and partner with other great events around the country, and hopefully mainly in Vegas. Entertainment capital of the world is a great place to start. So,
I was going to touch on that. Like, how important is like a place like Vegas, right? We all know there's a lot of money in it, but a lot of it comes from external sources, or not necessarily all. There's a lot of homegrown money, but are you really targeting the people that are in Vegas to kind of attend these events and be sponsorships, or are you trying to attract people from outside in different cities?
We're attracting whoever
Everybody.
wants to come, I mean, whoever's down for the cause, you want them there, and whoever is, not very familiar with the cause, we'd love for them to come and get educated and learn too.
Yeah. It's obviously a great city to do it because it's, built on shows, right? In many cases. And so we think if we can add, another really amazing show, it's going to be awesome.
And you're making an impact.
That's the biggest thing.
That's a huge part
I suppose having this many tourists in Vegas is great because you get eyeballs from other cities, and they go back and tell their friends, and hopefully we'll have a bit of a ripple effect and
And that's my
spread the word.
Vegas, like, is more of like you said, you're attracting the tourist dynamic as well. Whereas most of the time, I would assume when you're trying to raise money from like a place like Los Angeles or New York, it's a lot more intimate and homegrown, where you don't get as much visibility in some of those causes.
100%.
It's a bunch of friends and family and coworkers and business people that are all connecting with each other.
And I think also too, like, the American Music Awards is a long-standing tradition. I think this is the 51st.
This is 51, yeah.
Oh, wow. So you guys are aligning that history.
Aligning with that, and also, kind of rebooting it with a purpose, like you said, where it's like, no offense to the celebrities, instead of just them getting awards, there's something else that we're all doing there. I think is, an amazing thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have a couple veterans tell their stories that night, and I think that they'll really shine during the broadcast too. I think their stories are obviously super inspiring, and we're looking forward to having people hear them.
That's gonna be powerful, man. Talk a little bit about like the Navy SEAL motto. Isn't that how you guys came up with your name and things like that? I heard you talk about Navy SEALs and everything.
Yeah, so it kind of came from a few of my friends. Anytime they, like, any task that they take on, whether it's super difficult or super easy, they just say, "Yeah, easy day, I'll get it done." So that name kind of resonated, and I was like thinking to myself, well, the easy day should be ahead for these guys, not behind them. So that's why we went with Easy Day, because our mission is to make every day ahead from now on easy for the veterans, and they should not have their easy days all behin them.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's a good brand.
It's a good brand.
Yeah, that's very good brand.
It's all from him.
No, it's
that's
from the SEALs.
But it's good because you're tying everything together. So Easy Day, and I mean, as we know, things happen so fast, man. So many crazy things happening. So how can people help other than the fundraising and things like that? So for our listeners and things like that, that are listening right now, is how can they help? Like what can they do that's helpful? Is there places that they can go to? There's a, you know what I mean? Like, how,
Yeah, so they can go to easyday.org and donate. They can follow us on social. It's just at Easy Day Foundation. And then, since we're focusing on raising money, our partner organizations focus on those operational services. And you can get in touch with any of them, and they'd be happy to have some boots on the ground help. If you don't have money, they always are happy to have volunteers, and we can run through who our partners are. And we have a couple local ones. We have Folded Flag, which is Bill Foley's foundation. We have the UNLV Military and Veterans Services, the Bob Woodruff Foundation, Fisher House, who builds homes for families visiting vets in the hospital. So there's a bunch of them, so forgive me if I'm missing. You got to jump in.
A lot of great people.
Boot Campaign. Who have I forgotten so far? Team Rubicon. We have Iraq and Afghanistan Veteran Association and the Congressional Medal of Honor Society.
Yeah. That's some heavy hitters, man. You guys are playing no games.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. we have a great group of partners, and I think for us the idea is that it's kind of, if you give to a single VSO, they're kind of taking on one issue, right? If you give to Fisher House, they do amazing work rebuilding homes. Right. Our view is if you give to us, by the way, the night of the telecast, 100% of the donations go through.
I was going to ask that.
Which is
We're not keeping any of the donations that come in during the broadcast. So 100% of that is getting distributed out straight to the services.
So it you basically, with every dollar donated, you're covering all the bases, and that it's going to them. That's not often the case. You hear about some of these organizations where it's super inefficient, 50 cents to the dollar makes it, right? And so
or it goes out the back door too.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
We handpicked all of these to try and pick organizations that together create a holistic approach to the reintegration process after service. So it wasn't just let's go pick these ones here and there and throw darts at the dartboard. It was very well thought out. So
you mentioned, you were talking about some of the statistics, right? I was looking up. Yeah. Is it true that it's 33,000 homeless right now?
I think it's a little more as of 2023 when we started this. It was over 35,000. So
it is decreasing,
which is too much.
But it's still it's a massive issue. And one of the things, public to private, I think there's increasingly more support for the VA, but there's just not enough that can be done. And so that's also the big part of why we did this, is because we think there needs to be more private work that's done to support what's happening on the public side.
Yeah. I think it's kind of the same thing. You talk about building a private, obviously I think both understand business in a lot of different capacities, but moving to nonprofit is a very different experience. Well, at least I would guess. I've never done it, but what kind of challenge have you had to circumvent when building that out by trying to make something private where you think it should be a little easier, but obviously there's a lot of people take advantage of it to create these hurdles and challenges. But what has been the biggest thing that you've seen in the difference?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, for us, kind of, at least, I think actually for both of us, starting a 501c3 was something, like you said, that we haven't done. We have, great private businesses. Things obviously work differently, right? On the private side, you're oftentimes trying to build, a pretty strong balance sheet where you have, really.
You can't have that same J curve where you spend a bunch of money at first to get customers and acquire customers and stuff. You have to be a lot more careful.
Efficient.
It's a way different process.
And it's also, the dollars that we bring in, we want to put back out the door. And so every single year we're thinking about that upcoming budget and thinking about, okay, how much do we need to get in the door to fund everything we want to do? But we don't want to actually hold on to money left over.
Yeah, you're actually not
allowed to.
That makes the challenge. I can't remember what the time period is, but as a 501c3, you're required to distribute any money, whatever money you have, but you have to either spend it on, programs or.
As you guys know, as a private business owner, you're not running your bank to zero every year.
Yeah, never. It's counterintuitive.
It's kind of counterintuitive. Right?
It's completely opposite.
Yeah, it's completely opposite. Yeah. So it's a bit of an adjustment, I think, strategically. But I think the positive piece of it is, because you're a 501c3, people like just want to help out. Right. And like the amount of people that have volunteered their time and have helped us on our team too.
Oh, that's great.
Alex over here does this out of the kindness of his heart.
That's great.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of great people that we've encountered along the way, and people are super willing to help. It's been pretty awesome to see.
I mean, it's crazy. Like you guys talk about how you guys known each other 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
We know each other 12, 13 now.
How did 14? You guys become friends?
So we worked together. We worked together outside of this.
No way.
And then same setup. My wife was talking crap to us and saying like we were supposed to start this. We've been going 7 years now. We've had this pod since
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Been consistent. And then we were supposed to start. Was it 2 years before that? Right?
Yeah.
We kept wasting time.
Yeah.
Unlike you guys.
Yeah,
you guys actually made the decision. I had to get into a fight with my wife, and they're telling me like, let's just do this.
Let's do it.
But going back to that, there's a reason why. So, Vegas Circle was all about, building business, building culture, and really showcasing everybody.
Yeah.
But we felt like the Strip got all the shine, and there's so many cool people that are really making an impact off the Strip, right? And that was our whole focus is show the business owners, show the people that are impacting the culture, that really make an impact.
There's a lot more culture in this city than people think.
Oh, it's 1,000%. We love being able to highlight, people like yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, we know you guys are in separate businesses, which we'll transition to, but it's really cool that you guys are doing something that's meaningful too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That veteran situation is no joke, man.
It's funny you say that because when we first met and he said he was from Las Vegas, like my idea of Las Vegas is like, oh, so you like are on the Strip every day? Like, is that? What does that
when
mean?
you like go into college and you try to explain to everyone what it's like, and you try to say you had a normal childhood, and then you tell them about it, they're like, "Yeah, that's not normal."
It's actually like a small town. Like, I've been here 17 years.
Yeah.
And I'm originally from Chicago, and when I came here, I'm like, this is like a small town. Then you go to the Strip, and that's why I think everybody loves it. Is then you go to the city when you want to.
That's right.
So it's
yeah.
awesome.
I mean, everybody kind of knows everybody, and it is a much smaller town than you think. Yeah.
That's what you really start to learn is behind the scenes is everybody does it. 1,000%. So, but what's like the most meaningful thing? I know it's been a short time.
Yeah.
But what's the most meaningful thing that's really touched your heart on doing this?
I think for me, we hosted kind of our first event just about a year ago.
Okay.
When we launched, was an amazing event, relatively small. I think we had about 100 people.
Yeah, maybe
that's a good turnout.
150 people. We actually raised over almost $1.5 million that
That's
night.
Great.
But that's not what was the most touching moment. Was not the money raised. We had a lady named Lisa Hallett who came to the event. She's supported by one of our partners, Folded Flag. And what Folded Flag does is it supports Gold Star families. Okay. And so, for folks that are listening that don't know, Gold Star family is, someone that may have lost someone within their family in action or through service.
Okay.
And so, Lisa's story, she got up and gave a speech to everyone in that building. And, her story is, a very sad one, right? Her husband, they had 3 very, very young kids, 2, I think
she was still pregnant with her third child,
under the age of 2 and 1 on the way. And, she got, the knock on the door that nobody ever wants to get.
Her husband was on a humanitarian mission too.
Yeah. And I think when you hear those stories, it puts everything into perspective in a way that, it doesn't matter how much money we raise or like anything else. Like it just makes you want to support these people.
These people's lives.
Yeah. These people's lives.
Yeah, this is people's lives.
And so what Folded Flag does an amazing thing where they help support these families, right? And so, she was speaking about, her daughters that are now in school. Folded Flag has helped pay for their education, has done some really amazing
two
things.
sons and a daughter, and they've given them scholarships to help put them through school because, as you can imagine, being a single mom after that with 3 kids is extremely difficult.
But
expensive and everything. I was going to say the same thing. I just remember very clearly that night, sitting in the front row. Landon and I both spoke that night, but when she was speaking, I turned around, half the people in the room are crying, and it's not even about feeling bad as much as it is being proud of someone like her for just pushing on. Like, what a tough lady. And it's just so inspiring to see that. It just makes people, it sucks to tell sad stories, but, it inspires people to be just as tough and try to help out. And that was a pretty touching moment.
Do you feel like it's different, like now that you've got to experience some of these things from when you first started? Because I feel like, to me, at the beginning when you're talking about it, it's very different because you read the statistics. But when you start hearing the stories and talking to the people, you think it shifts your motivation and makes you more passionate about it and really trying to give back?
There's a lot of days where it's a huge pain in the ass to run a 501c3. And then you have days like that and you remember why you're here, and you're like, this is why we do what we do. And it, that gives you a lifetime of fuel to keep doing it. You just remember moments like that, and it's all worth it.
Yeah.
The sacrifice we make is not even close. I think about, I'm like, oh, this is a pain in the ass. My God, I'm just being such a wuss right now. Let's keep going.
That's so funny. I was literally just talking about boys about that yesterday. Literally, it's crazy. I'm like, what are we complaining about again?
Right.
And you just talk about the lady that's dealing with that, or dealing with the mental issues, or whatever it is you're dealing
with. And it touches us all because you have a story. I have a story. Like, all of us have these stories. And so it's like, it's not unique to single people.
No.
So it's
a country issue. Right?
That's right.
We all have been impacted one way or another.
That's right. Yeah. And one of the other big tenets, I think, to us doing this is like, we're trying to demystify and eliminate, being a veteran supporter from being like making that a partisan issue.
Yeah.
Right. And I think so much in our culture today, supporting veterans and supporting our troops, or like, doing anything like that has become partisan, and it really should not be. It should just be a matter of supporting an American who's next to you, or a human that's next to you.
We started this around a time when we were coming off of all-time lows of military recruitment, and just felt like we want to make, I think live events is a great way to get younger generation in a room and get them to, have like a greater sense of patriotism that I think, I probably get from my parents when they grew up, they were our age in the, 80s, 90s. And we just kind of want to see that again and make sure that everybody is proud to be American and proud to be here and knows that they're lucky to be here.
Yeah, those are great points.
Cool.
Those are fantastic points.
I love what you guys are doing, man. You guys, I'm trying to just listen and take it in and not cut you guys off, man. It's really impactful, man.
Thank you.
Powerful.
Yeah.
I just want to talk a little bit, just personally, just what you guys are doing also in the city with, with your personal jobs and things like that. But I'll start with you, Frank. So currently, you're a senior VP of Red Rock Resorts, right?
Yes, okay. SVP of operations. Okay. But I have my hands in a little bit of everything over there.
Yeah. What is your day to day? Because when you take on another task, man, it gets,
I can't believe he does it all.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that's a big one.
So I work in the corporate office, but I help run ops at all the different properties, work with all the GMs at each property, and I do a lot of development stuff too, working on our future projects. I worked on Durango a good amount.
Awesome.
I was just coming home from graduate school when we were in the ground with Durango. So
shout out to Durango. I know I'm just saying because you're sitting with y'all did a hell of a job with Durango.
Thank you very much.
But I'm gonna be honest with you, Durango is excellent.
Yeah, it's been great so far. People have responded really well to it. Everyone likes that we put windows in over there. So. Tall Cooperman with the tattoos.
Amazing guy.
Yeah, he's great.
So I'll make it laugh real quick for a second. But we did y'all's commercial, our family with our kids.
The Durango commercial? Wow. Yeah.
Just like a little
I picked that song. I love that song. I was like, this is the perfect
part of that. So we got to give a shout out to our kids because they'll be like, when they see
all my friends were like, we're getting so sick of hearing this song all day long because it played on TV so much. I was like, that's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, it's catchy.
Non-stop, man. But no, you guys did a hell of a job. So
agreed.
What is the expansion like with that? So you guys are expanding Durango now, right? And then you got Henderson that's coming up soon?
Well, right now the expansion is an extra parking garage, and a new high-limit slot room, and a little additional casino space. And we had to put a garage in first to have more parking for when we expand more.
Okay.
But we can't expand if we don't have room for people to park on the site. So that was the first move. Yeah, it's a lot of moving pieces, but that's just to get us to the next stage, and then hopefully we'll be announcing what our next property is in the next 12 months or so. We'll
trying
see.
to get you to slip up.
Not gonna happen.
Literally was trying to get you to
Not
slip
gonna
up.
happen.
Say what it is. You smooth, man. You smooth. Yeah. So I'll skip to you too, Landon. So your day to day. So you're in the capital raising business, right?
So I work in venture capital.
Okay.
And so our focus is investing in late stage technology companies. So they're all venture backed. We manage a credit fund and also an equity fund.
Okay.
And so, our business is really, on the equity side is, identifying generational founders, right? That we meet that, we think are building really incredible businesses. And, we want to invest in those businesses and partner with them for, hopefully decades to come. Right. Awesome. So like our outlook is longer duration. I think it's also why we get along quite so well is because our thinking is like long duration thinking, right? Like what we're building.
Find good people that you want to, partner with for a very long time.
Yeah. And also like we're building EDF to be, here for decades to come. EDF is actually not about Frank or I. We're not speaking at the event. Like we don't want to be the face of it. It's about the veterans and the work and building something that will stand the test of time. And so it's similar to what we do with our business is we often, Troy, our firm, we don't really do press. Every investment that we make, we don't really publicly announce. If you go to our website, it's literally just a landing page.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah,
I was like, what
you
are
can't
they doing?
Yeah.
I was trying to do as much as I can.
Landon made it up.
Yeah.
So that's purposely to redistribute.
That's right. And it's actually because, like our view is, it's not about our firm. It's about the founders that we back and the businesses that they build and the products that they offer. And I think like that's what should really matter. And for our LPs that give us the capital, we have, fiduciary to them to, generate returns. And what we found is when we can support our founders most effectively and have them own the spotlight, the actual alpha that we can generate and the returns we can drive are the best.
Yeah.
And so, that's been an amazing time. We've built this firm now over a decade, and have backed really amazing businesses.
Yeah, it's such a good skill set. Yeah.
And you got the right mindset too, man, because it's different having that mindset to be able to, because it can make you go crazy.
Yeah, and some people in the space are like trying to do quick flips or like trying
1,000%.
to, ride momentum. And I think like our view is more so, partnering for long duration.
Yeah. So do you pick the founder? That's what you're looking at and say, can I buy into this founder?
I think it's a mix of the founder, the business, the opportunity. I think if you look back at our body of work, a lot of times we're making bets on, people and businesses that, if you had asked us when we backed them years ago, would it look like this today? We wouldn't necessarily have said in our underwriting case that it would, but because we believed so much in that founder and kind of the core product vision, it played out that way.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's been really amazing, and fun to build.
It seems like you guys' skill set really balance each other out. It's almost like we guys are talking about which you're good at.
We haven't gotten in any arguments since we started this, by the way.
You have not yet?
No. Okay. We get along pretty well.
Complimentary.
But it's totally different. Like hospitality to investing is a very different thing, but it's also is a very much a person's business.
Yep.
Right. So it plays well.
You know what's so funny? They always say when you get into business with folks, we're like the completely opposite.
Really?
People. Yeah. But they say it's good because they can see your blind spots.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in business with the same person, right? So
100%.
awesome.
I think that's true. You got to kind of complement each other.
Yeah.
And not argue. Same thing. I don't think we've ever been an argument. Like not once.
I just argue with my wife. That's the other part.
She can handle it.
Yeah, she tells. I think that's what they do. They pick up on because they think exactly alike. So,
how did you guys meet? What's the story?
We were working together. And what happened was me and him always got along.
Yeah.
And I think one time we were on a business trip. I think in Phoenix.
Oh yeah, Phoenix.
And I don't want to get into fully what that was, but we probably had too many drinks or something, man. But we were up late. I think probably like 4:35 o'clock in the morning.
Just debating
Just debating about everything.
Yeah.
And then me me originally from, I think it's a vibe because we're both from
Yeah.
the Midwest. Like I'm from Chicago, he's from Detroit, and then we've lived a lot of different places.
Yeah.
So we just vibed, man.
Yeah.
And so long story short, kind of fast forward to 2025, when we originally started, it kind of went left. We brought in 2 other partners that went left and had the same vision of what we were all about.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for us was, and I think it started with that night, was we wanted to just represent something. Like, we want our kids to listen to this interview, right?
Yeah.
And the interviews we were doing in the beginning was not that. I
Yeah.
mean, we were interviewing pimps and doing all types of other stuff, like trying to get the wow factor, which a lot of people do, but the longevity, the marathon, right?
Yeah.
So we really wanted to look at this is a business, as a media company, and how do we do that? And it started with a lot of these nights.
Yeah.
But it was funny because he was like, he was saying, he thought I was like a pastor, like super religious guy. And we got into like a whole bunch of different debates just about life and business and family and all of that. And
Amazing.
and we were like, hey, let's start forming a company together.
Yeah.
Why Vegas? How'd you guys end up here?
So I ended up here because of this young lady behind.
Like 7 years ago when you met, were you both living here? You were still.
So
we were both here. Him and I were both here.
Okay.
I've been here 17 now.
Yeah.
We've been together. I moved to LA first, 2001 from Boston, and then I moved here in 07. I remember when did you move here?
2011.
2011, yeah. And we met 2012, right? Yeah. So and then I moved here from my wife. So I've been together 21 years.
Yeah, I remember because they said Vegas was the land of second chances. You know, I was in Detroit, a very bad economic recession, and I was like, I can't make nothing of myself here.
It was just as bad here, I think.
Yeah.
Well, especially because 07 and then 08 hit, and it was kind of scary.
Yeah, it was rough here for a while.
And when I moved to Boston, that was 9/11. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to move to States. It was the worst time.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think what it was is we met, and you just vibe with people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really what it is. And I think we respect each other and we trust each other. We've never had arguments or money issues or anything like that. So it's been great.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
But I want to talk a little bit about, just because I know your sister, a little bit about your family a little bit. How do you deal with, and I'm just curious, I think this is helpful for the listeners, everybody's plugging in wants something, right? How do you differentiate the real from the fake, especially in a city like Las Vegas? Because I know people always want Fertittas and want you guys to do different things. I'm just curious, how do you say no?
I'm not very good at saying no, to be honest.
Okay. You learn it.
Yeah, I mean, after a long time, you just kind of know what's what and why people are asking for things they're asking for. But look, I mean, I keep in touch with a lot of really great people, and I don't really have a lot of people who try and use and abuse my family and my life. So I'm very fortunate for that. We surround ourselves with great people, and we're very pleased with that. So I don't have to think of ways to say no very often.
That's solid.
That was great.
Yeah, that's solid. I just want to step back a little bit about funding.
Yeah.
So is it Quid? Is it QUID?
Yeah. So Quid is like within our credit platform that we have. And this was kind of a business that we started, I think, about 9 years ago. And conceptually, the idea was, there's a lot of shareholders in private technology companies that hold positions that are highly illiquid, right? If you're, an investor or a shareholder or, any particular person that owns stock in one of these private companies, you can't, it's not traded publicly, so you can't sell the shares, right? And so the vision there was, could we create a platform that could provide financing secured against those shares? Almost like how margin works in the public markets, but in the private markets.
Awesome.
So we built that out with our first investor was Oak Tree Capital, which, is an amazing firm headquartered in LA. We've now scaled the platform pretty significantly and brought in some really amazing partners too. And so that's like one of the amazing kind of sub platforms that we have within our firm. But that's all about just creating liquidity for people that have, worked extremely hard, have built amazing positions, but they haven't been able to monetize it yet.
Okay.
That's
awesome.
interesting. I heard that.
They pay you back once they IPO, right?
That's right.
Is the idea.
Yeah. So like, we had many clients at Airbnb, many clients at, Flexport, Stripe. These companies when they stay private, and then when they reach public markets, then you pay
That's
us
a hell
back.
of a business.
Yeah,
plan,
that's a
man.
great-
I gotta give you props.
Yeah.
I was
Very
trying to
smart.
figure out what it
Yeah,
is.
that's a
I was
good
like, that.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a business.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been in business yet?
We've been in business with that product for about 9 years.
Oh, so it's solid. Okay.
Yeah,
Good
so
for
it's
you.
been around
Congratulations,
for a while.
Okay.
And now it's, it stretches all the way, from not only working with shareholders in the company, but, LPs and funds, investors in kind of the preferred equity stack. So we kind of service kind of the whole stack.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's very
Good stuff,
interesting.
man.
Yeah.
I talked to you
Yeah,
guys.
so we have a whole
for hours.
podcast. I know just by themselves. We don't have to go down a whole bunch.
We're having a good time. We can
Yeah.
stick around.
No, because I don't want to just make it just so much just a veteran, but I wanted to be
Yeah.
able to shine a light on what you guys do
Totally.
too on
Yeah.
the day to day, because you guys
Appreciate it.
are making huge.
Yeah, the right
impacts.
people to make a big impact in this foundation.
Yeah,
So.
100%. So, how much time do you have to put in between? Well, I know you guys are team no sleep, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still handle my day to day at station at Red Rock the same way I did before. So it's an everyday thing, and this we squeeze it in where we can, and it's gotten more time consuming the closer we get
Sure.
to May 26. But there's always a little extra time in the day.
Yeah.
If we got to schedule
Yeah.
a late call or whatever, we'll do it and make it happen.
I mean, if there ever was anything to work nights and weekends on, it's probably something that has a purpose,
That makes
right?
good sense.
So I think
It is fun, honestly, just
Yeah.
working together with your best friend. Like
Yeah, it's
it's
awesome.
it's not like we don't dread it at all.
Yes, no, not at
It
all.
has its moments where it's difficult, but it's not boring ever.
yeah,
That's
So-
awesome, man. I applaud you guys, man. Transition a little bit is just about
Yeah.
nuggets and business. What's one real piece of business advice that you could give a new founder or just friends in general or people that want to collab like you guys, right? Because that's a problem a lot of times is people collab and they partner and then things go left, right?
Yeah.
So what would you tell the people that are listening that before they're starting off how they should establish that relationship?
yeah. I think the most important piece of advice is just doing the work every day. I think
Consistency,
people,
yep.
There's no reason to get mad at your partner if they're pulling their weight equally.
Yeah.
And I know that doesn't happen all the time, obviously, but I guess, pick someone with the same work ethic that you have and knowing that they're going to show up. And if there's a day when you can't show up, I know Landon's going to be able to make the decisions for me and vice versa, So I don't worry too much if there's a day that I can't make a meeting because I know he can handle it. So makes for a pretty good team.
Yeah, no, I think oftentimes you're not going to be the smartest person, but if you do wake up and you put in the work every single day, I mean, you guys have been doing this podcast 7 years, and
Yeah.
we're here.
We haven't taken a break in 7 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally, we put out
Right.
content, since
And it's
7 years straight.
just like head down. And of course, there's days you wake up and you're like, oh man, I am frustrated that this has gone this way. But like, if you just put your hat back on, put your head down, and keep doing the work, like eventually you wake up 18 months later and you've built something or started to build something.
I'm loving you say that. I was talking to Big Boy about this at Complex
Yeah.
Con. I got a chance to spend some time with him, and that's exactly what he was saying. He was saying, you guys have been doing this for this long, but you got to continue to keep doing your reps.
Yeah.
And then it goes down different rabbit holes, and you got to readjust and bring it back
100%.
in. Like I think you were talking about before, is like, Chris is amazing at this because he's always like, look, we can't do all these 50 things. We got to like do what we do
Focus.
well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's good. It's good to have people have your back.
It's funny you mentioned not being the smartest person. Another piece of advice my dad always told me. He said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in trouble.
It's true. 1,000%.
You want to surround yourself with smarter people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah.
We always ask guests about this, and I'm very curious about you guys. What's your favorite restaurant in Vegas? And you can't say at your so we'll put that in there because I like all y'all.
I got a good one. I got a good one.
I know all
I was going to say it's a three-way tie between Nico's, Hanks, and T-Bones, but I won't say that.
Okay. Shout out to T-Bone. And I like all of those.
My favorite restaurant in town is this sushi place called Kame, Kame. It's like kind of over by the Wynn. It's underneath. It's an omakase sushi place. It's unbelievable.
Keeps talking about
That's the one Phil did.
It's so good.
Phil.
I'm big on omakase sushi. That place is unbelievable.
Awesome.
I lived in New York too. I put it up against any place in New York. It's great.
That's a strong statement.
That
You're
is
talking
a
about New
big
York. I love New
statement.
York. Okay,
That
awesome.
is a big statement.
How about yourself? Yeah.
For me, I guess I can go within their ecosystem.
Okay.
I would say mine is the Noodle Bar in Red Rock.
Noodle bar. Okay.
Yeah.
which is
Eight noodle bar.
Yeah, it's a very small little kind of. I would consider it almost like a hole in the wall. It's not very big. There's like 10
Okay.
But it's a classic. I love it. And it's a
Awesome.
very simple menu, but very good.
Awesome. Good stuff, man.
What's your guys' favorite?
Yeah. What do you guys like?
I'm a big foodie, man. I freaking love it. But I love Calibash. It's a great restaurant. It's like
I haven't been there
70s.
yet.
Check it out, man. Ole's the owner there. It's African food, but it's way
Cool.
different than what you would think.
Where's it at?
Rainbow and like Charleston in that area.
Okay.
But I love just too many foods.
I'm a big fan of
places.
Cleaver and Herbs and Rye.
Cleaver's
Oh
good.
yeah, I've
Herbs and
heard
Rye.
that's good too.
Yeah, they have the great drink menu. Like they have like
Yeah, locals love those places.
yeah, that's great.
I was telling them yesterday the places I really want to go and try, and this shows that I need to spend more time here. Is Golden Steer.
Oh yeah,
We had Amanda on that owns
Yeah.
Golden
No
Steer.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we had Amanda
it's a
on.
great-
Okay.
great
They're
restaurant.
about to
Yeah.
open up in New York. Yeah, Golden
Oh,
Steer.
really?
Yeah, they opened
Yeah,
up a second
it's
location.
like the
She's
only
there now.
restaurant ever to go the opposite.
Yeah.
That's
Amanda's
a
great.
testament. That
Her
means it
whole-
must be really, really
Oh,
good.
it's very hard to get into.
It's a
very
staple.
good.
It's
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's excellent.
And then
Golden
the
Steer's
other
good.
classic I want to go to is Pietro's.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Piero's.
Piero's,
Yeah,
Piero's.
So
I'm sorry.
I don't know how many
Yeah.
people have mentioned Piero's here.
Do people
I don't
call
know.
that
They
out?
call it out all the time. And
Yeah.
we
Really?
were just there recently.
Yeah.
We love. Yeah, it's a great restaurant.
Yeah.
Italian food, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been going there since I
Yeah.
was born, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Used to go there
I
after
think I
all the
was
UFC
Italian in
fights.
another life, man. Because I love.
I think it's the
pasta.
best
best.
food.
Yeah,
You
it's
can eat it
excellent.
For
all
sure the
day,
best.
anytime.
But another place I'll tell you guys real quick before we transition is it the Sixes?
The
Four sixes. Yeah, that was really good too.
That might be the best steakhouse in
Really?
Vegas.
Yeah, it's very good. Very, very good.
I know. I gotta be
Everyone's
honest.
entitled to
I gotta
their
be-
opinion.
We were just at Nico's like 2 weeks ago, so I love Nico's too. But honestly, that one caught me off guard because it's a pop up and it's only here for a short period. So
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
yeah, it's only here.
I really enjoyed that too. It was
Yeah,
really
it
great.
was
I was
good.
impressed.
Trying to get
Awesome,
reservations in a month for the group, so we'll be going.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, make it happen, man, in June. So anything else we forgot to leave you out on, man? I've talked with you guys for hours, man.
I would just say if anyone listening wants to go to the AMAs, buy tickets and or tune in on CBS Memorial Day, May 26th.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
We'll support you guys, man. We have to bring you guys back, man, and just keep us updated on what you guys are doing, man. We
100%.
support you. And
Thank you very
This is
much.
what people need to hear about. So
Yeah,
we
appreciate
y'all's
that.
time, man.
Yeah,
And,
thank
what's
you
your
very much,
social
man.
handles that people can check out? For
At Easy Day Foundation on Instagram.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it's
We're
the
on
same
X.
across the board.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on kind of all
Everything.
platforms.
Okay.
So you can find us all there.
So check out Easy Day Foundation, support them, and check us out at thevegascircle.com. So appreciate you guys' time,
Awesome.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was
Awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool.